Good evening. My name is Les Pendleton. I'm on your board of directors at this time. I wanted to speak to you a little bit about my experience here on the POA board. Now, I've lived here for over 20 years, have always loved Fairfield Harbor and the people within it. I look at it with a long-time view, okay? Now, when we bought the 385 acres here, the community voted on it, and I thought it was a great idea at the time because I wanted a third party out of our neighborhood making all the decisions on the golf course, the maintenance, the restaurants, the marinas. So we came to a price, they bought it. And now I find out, since I'm on the board, I never knew this before, that POA dues could not be funded, cannot fund the purchase of that property. It had to be paid for with non-POA dues. Now, you would ask yourself, where does that money come from? What are non-POA dues? Well, it's things like the marinas, the restaurant, the golf course. That's interesting because in 2016, the restaurant and golf course lost about $600,000. We've got the combined loss down to $84,000 by now, and it's due to Phil's tight business practices on running this community. I've seen him in action. Our dues when I moved here were about $450 a year, and there was a $700 and some amenity fee we paid. So it was about $1,200 a year. We have been, once the amenity fee went away, the dues were raised enough to get it back up to that level, but the net effect is we are running this community right now on the same net dollars it was running on 20 years ago. Obviously, inflation last year was 17%, and we also picked up the payment, $300 and some thousand a year for the 385 acres, with no real good way to pay for it. It was keeping our infrastructure from being maintained properly. The marinas we acquired were falling apart. The clubhouse had to be torn down. The bulkhead around the inner harbor is falling down. They're all reached the end of their life and have to be redone. So Phil was trying to come up with some ideas on how to make these payments and get that note off of our back. One of the first things he came up with was to remodel the restaurant and try and make it a successful, profitable restaurant. He remodeled it literally by himself. He went in and did all of the woodwork, the trim, did a beautiful job on it, spent his own time and energy doing it. I thought it looked beautiful. I asked the ladies at the POA front office what the word was in the community. They said, well, a lot of people like it, but there's a crowd on the internet that thinks it was a terrible waste of money, that we shouldn't have done it. Well, silly me, I didn't realize we had a bunch of restaurateur experts and culinary experts living here in the community, and I guess they know what they're talking about. Next, I wanted to try and get some palm trees into this community. This was my idea. I found a company in Florida that would deliver us 40 palm trees for a little over $6,000. That would figure out to be, if the residents would pay for them, it would be $335 per palm tree. So we would pay that for 20, and the other 20 would be given to the POA to plant around the neighborhood. POA thought it was a good idea, too, to beautify our neighborhood. I guess it was a good idea. They all sold out in 10 minutes. The next year, we sold 2 loads of them, and this year, we have a waiting list with 3 loads. So I thought it was a tremendous idea. I love the way they look. I went to the ladies in the front office and I said, so what does everyone think of the palm trees? And they said, well, most people seem to like them, but there is this group on the internet that thinks it was a terrible waste of money and we shouldn't have done it. And I thought, gosh, we didn't pay anything for them. How was it a waste of money? I had no idea that there were some horticulture experts apparently on the internet every day that just knew how to do it better, okay? Next idea we came up with wasn't a moneymaker, but it was for the safety of the community. One of the biggest complaints that we had been getting since I'd been in office was speeding. People were flying up and down Pelican and Cara with no regard to the speed limit. So after talking about it amongst ourselves for quite a while and getting input from the security committee here in the harbor, we lowered that speed limit to 30. I can tell that the traffic has slowed down dramatically, and if you're honest, you will be able to also see that it is slower. Some of the people here obviously didn't want to, they were going to hurry for work or whatever, didn't want to slow down at all. I went and asked the ladies in the front office. I said, so what's the word about lowering the speed limit? She said, well, a lot of people think it was a good idea, because we want to protect the kids, walkers, and golf carts, but there was a group on the internet that thinks it was a horrible idea. As a matter of fact, one lady posted that She came by her need to speed honestly because her parents were drag racers. All I can say is thank goodness her parents weren't bank robbers, you know. Uh, Let me flip a page here because I'm old and I have to make notes. Okay. Let's talk about the golf course. Just a few years ago, they were losing a ton of money. Phil had been doing everything he could to generate income from the businesses, and they are businesses. You own them. The POA is you, by the way. The sign was one of the ideas that he had, to put a sign out on 55 to draw customers in that are traveling between Oriental and Newbern, or maybe going to down east, down Highway 55. It's a lot of traffic on that road. He worked out a deal where he could sell one lot and get enough money to buy the land out there, and then we could put the sign on it. Well, it's been put up now. There's a little more work to be done on it, but it looks great. I think it's going to really help drawing business and customers to both the restaurant and golf course. I asked the ladies in the front office what the community thought about the sign. They said that people thought it was a horrible idea, that we had to be getting kickbacks on the deal from the people that sold us the land or the sign company, or both, or all of them too. And I said, gosh, I'm just so shocked by that. And I had no idea that we had some marketing and sign experts out there on the internet all day long that knew how to do all this stuff, or I would have approached them about it. Finally, we went on to fiber. And Phil found a company that would bring fiber into our homes here via the internet and cable. I had been with Optimum for years, even when it was Suddenlink. The customer service was the worst I have ever done business with, and they have slowly crept the price up to where I was paying $230 a month. The company that we now have is a highly recommended company that is fronting all of the money that is needed to make this in effect in our neighborhood, and it will actually generate a fee to you for each lot that signs up with it. I would hope everyone in our community would sign up for it to generate the income to help pay our bills and also to get rid of a bad provider. One more thing, the Harbor Club. Now, when I first came here, there was a Harbor Club right where the old lot is over there now by the boat ramp, the boat launch, and then the Shoreline Marina. We had a lot of fun parties there. It was a great place to meet. We had large meeting rooms. Once it had to be torn down, we have none of those. We are now in the process of trying to get another clubhouse built over there. And I asked a lot of the people in the front office, well, what do people think of that? I mean, we've had survey after survey over the years indicating that was one of the most popular requests for our community was a new Harbor Club. Well, they said a lot of people did like it, but the internet crowd thought that it was just a total waste of money and would cost millions of dollars, and we'd wind up getting nothing out of it. And once again, I had no idea that we had so many real estate developers, engineers, etc., living here in the community to rely on to tear apart whatever it is we try and do. Okay, now my final thoughts. I think this group on the internet site, I believe it's called Fairfield Stop right now, they're like a child in a restaurant screaming at everyone and disturbing the entire place because they didn't get the dessert they wanted. Obviously, some of them are NIMBYs. You know, a NIMBY means not in my backyard. Some of them just were not wanting any development near where they lived, even if it was good for the community. So we had decided that, you know, we would try and go forward with the over 55 community and take care of the elderly people when they got too old to live here. They thought that was a horrible idea, and I guess they just don't want people when they get too old to take care of their own homes to live here. I hope they'll be the ones to tell them that we don't want them here when they age out. One last example I want to mention to you. This past week, one of the posters on that website we were talking about posted a comparison between the dues that we pay in Fairfield Harbor and the dues that were paid at Carolina Colors, showing that we were charging even more than Carolina Colors. Well, let's look at all the facts. One of the residents here, a longtime, well-respected resident, posted a counter to that with a graph that broke down the exact cost for the same price home in all of the neighborhoods in this community. Well, turns out Carolina Colors they pay city taxes on their homes. Their city taxes would equal as much or more than the dues on the average home here. and the city owns their roads. They don't own our roads. We have to keep our roads up ourselves. Also, they don't have the amenities that we have. They don't have marinas, they don't have security 24 hours a day. They have no waterfront at all. So it's not a fair comparison. And I had to ask myself, why would they do this? Why would they go out and intentionally misrepresent something this serious to our community to try and just get everyone disturbed and up in arms? And I cannot come up with a good answer for it other than they're trying to tear us down, and they're trying their very hardest. So these people have never offered anything positive to us in any way, no plans for anything, no proposals on their own. They just want to tear down. I will hope that you will have enough vision to see through what they are doing and never let these people get control of your POA. Thank you for giving me this time.